And let's talk to a man who managed Pete Alonso in New York. By the way, in the 2 years that Buck Showalter managed Pete Alonso, all he did was hit 86 home runs and drive in 249 runs. So let's bring on Buck. And Buck, thank you as always for your time. We appreciate it. So your reaction to the signing and what kind of player do you feel the Orioles are getting in Pete Alonso?
Uh-oh.
We got Buck? Did we lose Buck? Buck, you there? We lost Buck.
I thought maybe he was muted, but did not.
No, he's gone now. But we'll get him in a second. I'm very curious because who would have more insight and be able to talk about Pete Alonso than a man who managed him for 2 years, right? Like that's...
No, it'd be a perfect day to talk to Buck.
Yeah. Buck, I have a feeling Buck Showalter is a big fan of Pete Alonso.
I think so, too.
He definitely is. Excited to hear what he has to say. Looks like Ben's talking to him now.
Yeah. Phones are funny sometimes.
They're weird.
They're fun. Like you talk, but let's bring on Buck. Buck, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Hey.
Okay, great.
Paying the bills?
I know, right?
We have some issues around here.
So I don't know if you heard my question, but I did mention that he hit a bunch of home runs and drove in a bunch of runs for you in the 2 years you managed him. So with all that being said, you have some insights on Pete Alonso that others may not. What do you think of this signing, and what are they getting in Pete Alonso?
Well, I talked to Pete about an hour ago. We've been talking a little bit along the way, and he's so excited. He's got a 3-month-old new baby, too.
Wow.
3 dogs. He's looking at places to live already, and it's a great fit. The city of Baltimore will get Pete, and Pete will get Baltimore. I don't know. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. There's this guy's going to post up. If there's ever a guy you can trust with a contract, he's it. The only time you're going to have a problem with him is when you try to DH him or give him a day off. He likes to play, and it's not going to go away with a new contract. Pete, if you know his background, this is the guy that almost had to walk on. At college, he had to prove everything along the way, and he's got a good chip on his shoulder, okay? And whether they move the fences in again or move it again, I don't know what they're doing, but it won't matter with Pete. When he catches it and he puts the bat on it, he collides with balls. They go places where you can't catch them. And he's a guy that's easy to pull for. Good teammate, good you got to really search to find something negative about Pete. Very sincere, a lot of common sense, and really likes to win.
Well, Buck, you mentioned the fact that he hits the post. He's played in all 162 games back-to-back years. He's missed all of 10 games over the past 4 years. So one of those throwback type of players. Just how underrated is that for Pete Alonso?
Well, I did the same thing with Nemo, and Brandon wasn't playing as many games as we needed him to, and it was nothing due to his makeup or anything. It was just, I remember talking to both those guys. There's 6 tools in baseball. There's the 5 tools that everybody knows about, and the 6th tool is being able to post up and being able to play, because I don't care what type of numbers, what kind of analytical evaluation or projections you make. If you're not on the field, it does not matter. Okay, and, Pete takes very seriously being there for his team every day. Now, who knows what the future is going to bring? There's a lot of curveballs that are thrown there. But on paper, of all the guys that are out there as a free agent, I would trust him as far as posting up. And I'm excited for the city of Baltimore and for Pete. I'm flying up there tomorrow for my son's birthday. Heck, I may slip in the back of the press conference.
Well, Skip, we've had you on the show several times as this organization has had their ups and downs during this rebuild. And one of the things that we've tried to kind of drill down on you, because you can't find it on Baseball Reference or StatCast, is sort of this idea of chemistry and leadership and heart. And is this team a little too young? And do they need somebody with a different resume and not just a thumper in terms of in the batter's box, but maybe a guy who could be a little bit of a thumper inside the clubhouse too. What kind of leadership skills does he have, and do you think he'll be able to kind of fill that void that the Gunners and the Westbergs have been kind of looking for? That dude to maybe show them the way a little bit more and maybe regulate when things need to be regulated.
Well, don't get me wrong. Pete's got a little edge to him now. He's not pulling your weight, but Pete's. You never have to go, hey, Pete's in a bad mood today. Pete's the same guy every day he walks through the door. And as you're around baseball more and more, you realize what a great attribute that is. I mean, everybody knows what they're getting out of Pete. And if you want his opinion, he'll give it. And something, I used to love after he'd plop down about 2:30 sometimes and shut the door, and we'd talk about life. He'll plop down and hey, I've been thinking about this. What do you think about that? And he's great in advanced meetings. He's a student of pitchers, and I have to search for something negative on it. He cares, and I just hope he doesn't try to do too much and doesn't try to. It's like I told Lindor when I first got there. I just need you to play shortstop. Pete will do so many things just by example, and he needs to be like E.F. Hutton, just pick your spots, and when you speak, people will listen. But he and Haley are a good addition to the Oriole family. Trust me.
We're talking to Buck Showalter to Inside Access here on the Fan. Buck, you got to see what this fan base is like when you win, and it was those 2012.
I just told Pete about that the other day, about half an hour ago. I was talking to Pete about that.
So to add a Pete Alonso, they've been aggressive this offseason. They trade for Taylor Ward. They brought back Andrew Kitchich. They signed Ryan Helsley. They now Pete Alonso. They're supposedly in on high-end starting pitching. This seems to be a bit of a turnabout for this regime, at least, though, to be so aggressive.
Well, I think the new ownership would like to send a little message out there, but at the same time, Mike and I'm sure everybody there will, try to steer people towards what's good money and what's not, and that's more about the commitment. And Pete's a step in the right direction, but if you're giving up 6 and scoring 5, the math doesn't work.
Yeah.
So some points you got to make leads matter, but you got to have both. I think the Dodgers were so much better than everybody else pitching wise, and now they've added Edwin Diaz. I actually think if the Dodgers are sitting there at the end of the year again, it's going to do a lot for this. The thought that you're going to have to do something about the salary structure. I think if the Dodgers win again, there's not going to be much sympathy for continuing down the same path.
Well, Buck, obviously the O's need to add some starting pitching and add some bullpen help. But looking at this lineup, how it currently stands, we know some of the young guys, they need to bounce back. But you add Taylor Ward, a guy that hit 30-plus home runs, drove in 100 runs. You add Pete Alonso, who we've been talking about. What do you think of this Orioles lineup?
Well, I'm not as close to it as you guys are. I felt bad about him losing Grayson. I think he's primed, but they know a lot more about where he is than I do, but they got a good player back. So, and they've also opened up some surplus things and believe me, the other teams know where they've got surplus. And we all know that the pitching is going to have to be addressed. And sometimes bullpens are cyclical. The non-closers, you got to be careful about trying to take a non-closer and expecting that back in back years. But starting pitching is at such a premium. Until you solve that, you can really build up your bullpen and then get these good 5 to 6 inning pitchers that are serviceable. Or there's so many ways to do it. You just got to know who you are. And trust me, they've made a step in a good direction with Pete because there's such a presence that he will create in a lot of ways. Pete lives in Tampa. He's excited. I've told him how great Sarasota is, and he lives around the corner.
Well, Skip, we all see the RBIs and the power and the prodigious feats at the home run derby, but he's also got a career 341 on base. He got on base almost 35% of the time last year. He seems to be a little bit of a magnet. The ball seems to get hit more than he'd probably like, but hey, it gets you on base. What do you think about sort of the overall quality of at bats that he provides?
Well, Pete. He's more than just a collision hitter. Pete's got a plan. He doesn't give on pitches, and believe me, I used to get upset as much as anybody with the balls that he seemed to take off the arms and the forearms. But Pete never backed off. It's just not in his makeup. And you meet his mom and dad, and I remember watching him do a stand-up comedy routine early in the spring, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this guy's got big, what. And he doesn't take himself too seriously. You can kid with him. If somebody needs to do an interview, he's going to do it for you. He's not going to act like some prima donna. He doesn't. He's a humble young man. His mom and dad did a great job with him. But he takes fatherhood very seriously. He's pretty excited about the new addition, and I'm just excited for him to get to a place, not that he wasn't, but get to a place that will get him and he will get the city and what the fans really, they just want the Orioles to be good. Yeah. And Pete will be sincere about how he goes about it.
Buck, before I let you go, I do have to follow up on what you were saying about the next offseason, say the Dodgers win, because I feel the same way, but I wonder how ugly that gets. So let's just go down that hypothetical rabbit hole. Where do we end up there? If the Dodgers win again, is it a nuclear winner for Major League Baseball? What do we see? Because they've been trying
it has that potential. Yeah, it has that potential because – it's just like, there's a lot of similarity between college football and NIL right now. It's just the Dodgers are just so deep, and don't be mad at them. They're just, gaming the system. It's what the system is, and they're taking advantage of it, and they have a lot of resources. And it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's not, the Winnipeg Jets. It's just I think that you're going to see some things happen. And for those of us who went through the 94, 95 stuff, I wish it's just awful. But sometimes I do think they're going to have to do something to have every fan base feel like they're on an even keel with everybody else, that they've got a shot at anybody coming out of Japan. They've got a shot at, they've got the same, selling points. But right now, it's not a level playing field, and anybody tries to tell you it is. But you can't make an excuse if you're Pittsburgh or whoever. You've got to figure out some way to do it, and that's what we tried to do in Baltimore. We had to say, okay, what can we be better at than the Yankees? What can we do better? 6-year free agents, better farm system, better drafting, better relationships, better. You can do it but there's an excuse around every corner if you want to kowtow to teams with higher payrolls. Okay, I'm done.
Buck, that was great.
Thank you
so much.
Safe travels.
Yeah, enjoy Charm City.
Hey, I'm going to the Army-Navy game Saturday. You wouldn't miss it for the
Nice.
Awesome. Buck, you're the best.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right, God bless. Bye-bye, guys.
We'll switch back to the Ravens. Man, he's great.
That's an Oriole for life.
Yes, it is. Yes, he is. Joe Burrow, he owns the Ravens. Can they slow him down? We'll discuss next.